You are entering a safe space. Please take a moment to center yourself and allow every thought, worry, and care to fall away right now. Focus on taking deep breaths and allow yourself to feel the healing freedom that is waiting to be ignited within you. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. This is your healing space, providing you with hope and inspiration as you become more connected to yourself. Your safe vessel, helping you move to a higher consciousness to reignite your voice and discover who you are destined to be really inside you. I am Isabel Draughon, your host. I am also an author, entrepreneur, and a life transformation and spiritual coach. Most importantly, I am a perpetual student of life, just like you. So let's explore together. Claim what is already inside you. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. I am your host, Isabel Draughon. Happy New Year to all of you, our amazing guests. Really, you're not guests, you are family, because this is the healing space. This is a place where we come to heal. This is a place about humanity, connection. So thank you so much for being here. This is the top of the year. And this is our first podcast. I'm excited about this year. This year we're going deeper into healing mind, body, and soul, the holistic, so we can become the best version of ourselves and who God, for me, for you, whoever you serve, created you to be. So I'm excited about today. Again, please share the podcast, invite your friends. But thank you so much for being here. You could be anywhere at this moment. We have an amazing guest, Chanoa Inez. She is our first guest for 2026, and I'm honored to have you here. Welcome. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Isabel.
Thank you so much. Now, you guys, I'm so glad that you're here. As I mentioned earlier, you are our first guest, so it is an honor and a privilege. But I always talk about authenticity. This is 30 minutes into the podcast. It was supposed to start about 30 minutes ago. There's several things happening. I've had the flu since the year started. So I came in today thinking we're just having a pre-podcast interview when we're supposed to be having the full interview. And I said, is today Wednesday? She said, today is Wednesday. This is where I'm at, guys. Like, this is what the flu has done to me. I feel a lot better now. I'm still weak, but and Shanoa talked about how on her end, she hit what did you hit? You dropped
I knocked over my desk organizer.
Yeah, she knocked over her desk organizer. But this is what I love about this. This is what humanity looks like. This is exactly what it looks like. In my space, I don't believe in perfection at all. There's nothing that God created that was perfect. That's why everything evolves, right? To get to what it is. So we're going to jump right in. I first want to say thank you so much again for joining us. Please share, invite your friends. I'm going to go ahead and read Shanoa's bio, and we're going to get into the questions and, hear what she has to say and feed you guys soul with whatever information that serves you today. She's an author of Dream On: How to Create the New Life of Your Dreams After an Upheaval of Loss. In Dream On, she shares her dramatic story that goes from Montenegro to Los Angeles, as well as meaningful paths and techniques to help others reconnect to joy with far greater speed. She's a mirror for her clients at Magnetize Your Personal Brand, where she helps them connect with who they really are. And there she shares positioning and messaging techniques to help her clients attract better opportunities and become more memorable. Sample of her topics: reconnecting to joy, bouncing back to major life, creating a life you love, personal transformation, all those things that we do here at the Loud Whisper podcast, the healing space, how you can attract better opportunities and why the real you, what makes you unique. Again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then let's jump into it. You talked about your book. So before your first breakthrough moment, yeah, who wore you really underneath the roles that you carried?
Oh, wow. Well, before tragedy struck, or, at that point after that, or before then even?
Whatever your soul allows you to speak about today. So you can
Yeah,
tell us about when before, then when the tragedy struck, and then who
sure.
you had to become. This is your space. This is a space where we're speaking our truth. So whatever your soul.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I had a victim mindset since I was a child. And
Mm.
it started because of real reasons. One could objectively say, oh, she's a victim in this circumstance. But I didn't realize that I made it an identity of mine. And so I just
Mhm.
created more situations to be like a victim. And I would always talk
Yeah.
about stressful or painful stories from the past. And it was kind of like,
Mhm.
just always top of mind. So I didn't know how harmful that was because I hadn't set off on this, spiritual journey. I didn't have any tools,
Yeah.
meditation, or anything like that.
Hmm.
But still, even though, life is good, but, I didn't really have, again, these resilience tools.
Yeah.
Um, I reached a point where, in my 20s, my boyfriend was from Montenegro and we lived together in Miami. And I went on vacation there and I didn't want to come back. I already knew I
Hmm.
wanted to leave Miami. I just didn't know where I wanted to go. And when I went there, I was like, I don't want to come back.
Yeah.
Let's move. So it just worked out that I just started working as a copywriting strategist on the side. So we decided, okay, we'll go the next year for summer vacation. Now you can turn your side gig into a full-time business. So
Sure.
because it's very different, the working situation in Montenegro versus the US. And he just changed careers. So he was actually a broker at a luxury yacht brokerage. So they were happy to be able to have a man in Europe because they have those marinas there. So
Right.
that
Yeah,
just
for
worked out
sure.
perfectly. Yeah. So the next year we went on vacation and we're supposed to be there like the whole summer for vacation. Our things are in storage in case we come back. It doesn't work for business. And then, it was planned to vacation and then move. And that day, the first day in Montenegro was perfect, spending time with his family in the capital, a perfect evening on the seacoast. And it was the first time in my life where I felt like everything was perfect. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I woke up in the morning and he did not. He passed away in from a clot. Yeah. Yeah. It was, as you can imagine, it was, my whole world dissolved in an instant. It,
Mm.
it was a lot. It was a lot for everybody, but
Mm.
I took it the worst. We did everything together. We had so many
Mm.
plans for the future.
Sure.
Um, and here I was, like everything felt perfect and he was gone. So that, because I didn't know what I know now, yes, it
Hmm.
was a very painful experience, but I really leaned into those painful emotions, and didn't
Hmm.
process them properly. I decided to stay in Montenegro, and I ended up living half in Montenegro, half in Belgrade, Serbia, my first 2 years, and then just in Montenegro for 4.5 years before I moved back to LA. But
Hmm.
through that process, the good news is, uh, first it was very dark, I would say. But then when life felt like it was normal, I didn't really notice that I'd shrunk back. I started playing very small, but my
Mm.
confidence was gone. And
Yeah.
I just I guess it was a fear of loss that I just, minimized everything. But thankfully, I would say actually I started developing a lot of health challenges. And I say thankfully because then I had to set off on this pursuit to try and figure it out. No doctors could help me, no Western medicine. So I discovered this whole world of, meditation. I tried
Sure.
everything. I went to Peru for, plant
You
medicine healings. I
did.
tried everything.
Oh my goodness, that's on my bucket list. So you and I need to talk about that.
Oh,
I
yeah, yeah.
know where you went. That's on my bucket list to do that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the place where I went, they stopped doing after COVID. Their village was really
Mm.
hard hit. But I know people who connected me to there, so I can definitely talk to you
Sure.
later.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all these wonderful things I tried, they were powerful and there would be a little change, but nothing really was dramatic because I didn't know at the time the victim mindset was so strong and the lack of self-love. And I thought I loved myself. So I would be doing all these things, spending so much time reading, meditating,
Sure.
flying there, trying that. And I didn't realize I didn't have that foundation in place.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm sitting here thinking, what I love about doing this podcast is being in this space of truth and hearing people's stories. Can you share with us from that moment? You talked about the victimhood. So you said you had the victimhood before the grief. Yeah?
Yes.
Where do you think that, now that you've done the work, where did that victimhood start from, do you think?
They started from actual situations that one could say, oh, she was a victim in that situation.
Sure.
But then I think it became a thing like later on, like teen years and early 20s, that I think I wasn't looking for attention, but I realized when you meet people and people ask you, where are you from? What's your story? My stories were always dramatic. And so while they were not good stories, you quickly bond with people. And I didn't realize that consciously at the time. So I always carried those stories around like a little suitcase that I just drop off at the table.
Sure.
And so it was very much a why me mindset, which is totally fine for a child because they don't have, they don't know how to really
There's no reasoning,
that.
like there's no reasoning to it.
Right.
They don't understand the psychological reasoning to,
Yeah, exactly. And then, after Bodo passed away, the why me just got louder. I was just like, really? Like, why is this happening to me?
Talk to me about that, sis, if you don't mind for a second. That part. So you wake up in the morning and the man that you love is gone.
Right.
How does one move forward? How does one, I can't even fathom, right? Because obviously I've not experienced it. Grief is grief, and grief is a powerful thing. Grief is something that you stay with. But how do you, what was the first truth you discovered after that day, I guess, is my question to you.
I wouldn't say I discovered anything useful as the truth until a few years later, because I was in such a dark place. And even if my life didn't look like that, you see me going on vacation, go out with my friends. It looks like I'm happy, but they don't see like the underside, where I can just sit on my couch in the evening and be like, and an hour later, like, I'm going to get up, and I'm just going to get up, not even watching TV, anything. It was just very heavy for me. Yeah. And I didn't know what to do. Nobody tells you in your 20s, your boyfriend might not wake up, And I had a lot of, I also had a lot of guilt, which was funny, and very strange. But like, for example, I know he wanted to start having children. He had a son, and he wanted us to start having children. And I said, well, why are we going to do that now when we're going to go there and figure out this new thing with work? Like, why don't we wait until next year? Like, and so then I had guilt that I didn't do that. And coincidentally, or not coincidentally, a strange synchronicity, a friend who worked at the company that I left, that I was working in Miami, her fiance passed away in a motorcycle accident the same week my boyfriend passed away, but that was in Miami, and she was pregnant. And then I felt like, oh my God, like I failed him. I'm not, and it would have been so complicated to have that kind of grief and to be pregnant. My situation, I think I had less of a support system in a way, because I decided to stay in Europe than my family in Miami. But so it was just very multi-layered, complicated feelings. So I really regressed in many ways. I realized I would just make the same mistakes I used to make, that I'd gained some wisdom up until then. But I would say the biggest changes I realized, even though I was on the spiritual journey, I don't think any like deep change happened until I moved back to LA. The scenery change really helped me like break out of some patterns. And I started realizing, for example, I could suddenly eat all this food I couldn't eat before, and I was able to get off the vegan diet. Like a lot just changed for me. And then a few years after I moved to LA, I realized when a long-term romantic relation relationship ended, I realized, a good friend of mine at the time, she kept like wagging her finger at that person and saying, I can't believe him, how he treats you. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, she treats me exactly the same way. So I got in touch with her and I was like, you have to change or we can't be friends anymore. And she's basically like, my life's too complicated right now. I can't change. And I felt such relief when that friendship was over. It was 10 years. And then I realized the pattern there because I saw myself as a victim. I surrounded myself by people who would actually treat me in ways that would be like victimization. And it was really empowering because I realized I created all that, so I can create anything
and it's
else.
not necessarily, and here is the thing, you did create it, but also, if I can interject a little bit, I tell people it's not even necessarily that you're creating it. That's what you know, right? That's who you are at that moment. So you're not intentional. Like I want to be around people who are going to victimize me, who are going to be a victim. No, I get what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying. I, the same way, had the victim mentality. And what I notice is we don't realize it, but we attract who we are. We attract who we are. But then during that journey, we need to learn to give ourselves grace because you're not You've never, when you lost your boyfriend, that's a chapter you've never lived. You see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So for anybody that's
with no
listening,
tools. Exactly,
with no tools. So now you go to bed living one life, you wake up the next day living a total different life that you have never experienced. You don't have the tools. You don't know how to navigate. And that's why I always feel that when people say, oh, that person is still grieving, how dare you? How dare you? To me, there will never be a time limit on grief. I feel people learn to live with grief. But you can never give someone a time limit for grief. I mean, what do you think? You experienced it with your fiance, your boyfriend.
I think it's important not to set like a strict time limit. I think it's important to notice that there has to be a point where you start making moves to come out of it. It's not about not feeling the grief because I can talk about what happened and my emotions can stay steady, and I can talk about what happened and I start crying. And this happened in 2012. And I wrote the book because I realized when I started writing the book just a few years ago, I was just, everything in my life had transformed so much. And I was walking across my living room and I realized I just came out of that cloud of grief. I didn't realize how heavy it was. So there's layers to it. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's not about like, oh, get over it. Not at all. But not about missing that window where it just becomes like a new reality and you don't realize that you shrunk back and you're like, oh, I'm happy. And it's not. So that's why it becomes
the masking that we've all learned to do, to mask and numb ourselves to quote unquote be positive, like positive toxicity. People are like, you want to be happy because the world wants you to be happy, but deep down inside, you're breaking.
Yeah. And I think also because, why I'm much more focused on joy than happiness is because happiness can be very cerebral. How are you? I feel happy. It's like, you can feel like you're being honest, but you're even lying to yourself saying, I'm happy. But joy, that's energized happiness.
It's internal.
Like, you can't fake it. You are joyful or you're not.
Yeah.
If you can't feel joy, you're probably not happy. So.
Yeah. It's interesting. As you speak, I can see the joy just beaming through you, even through, I see the joy, honestly, beaming, your eyes beaming through you. It makes my heart smile. It's an amazing thing. And I agree with you. Happiness to me, I define it as everything external. It's like if on Christmas, the kids are happy because they have all these toys. And then once they open the toys, they don't want to deal with them anymore. They're not happy. They're waiting for next Christmas. I'm not happy. But joy is internal because joy is when, even when it doesn't feel right, you give yourself that joy. You tell yourself, the sun is going to shine in the morning. That's how you start cultivating that joy. Wow. Yeah. It has to be inside. Happiness is external. That's extremely, extremely powerful. There's a difference between healing from something and healing with something. How do you find that, and where are you at?
Healing. I don't think I understand. From and
So there's a
with.
difference between healing from something and healing with something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
How do you define that, and where are you now?
yeah. Well, I
Because
would
you were
not call this a healing from, like as you said about the grief.
Okay.
I think there is a
Yeah.
time period for being in that heavy grief where nothing is happening, because then I
Okay.
can start, like the health issues, all that started coming in.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's definitely healing with something. Because, for
Okay.
example, I could talk about what happened and it was okay, but the intro of my book, I barely gave any details about that story, and my developmental editor said, "Oh, you have to give more details. People won't know what you're talking about." And I
And
said,
why did you
"Okay."
want to do that?
So, well,
I may ask.
because it's a very uplifting book, and it's really focused on that no matter what difficult things happen, we can come out of it. So I didn't want to traumatize people and be like, But she's like, okay, you don't have, there's still space between those extremes. And so I agreed. I said, yes,
Sure.
I'll work on those edits.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I had to ask for an extension on editing that part, because I was shocked to see I was typing, and I just started crying, and I felt a level of grief I hadn't felt for a long time. So I would definitely call that distinction of healing with something.
With
And I don't think that's something I need to repair. I'm not sitting here crying every day, and I feel more happy about him. Like good memories about him more than anything else. In fact, his mother just passed less than 2 weeks ago, and it was the first time somebody's passed where I honestly, I didn't feel a moment of sadness. I instantly felt like she was with her husband who passed after he passed, and him. I just felt like it just felt like it was a strange peace that came over me. Like I felt like they're all together. So, anyway, so it's like a healing with something. So I'd say the healing with is when you're not shutting something away, you're not putting it behind closed doors. And that's when things come out sideways. And I think that's why my health took a beating, because I was telling myself I was completely back to normal when I wasn't. So I didn't leave that space for it to come with me. I kind of put it in a box and said it was okay.
Yeah, like being in a state of denial, which a lot of us are. Yeah. Just being in that state of denial. What is somebody's grieving right now? Grief is hard. What would you say to them? It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened. When it just happened, I'd say, don't try and fix anything. I say, feel it, number one. But two, make sure that you're on your side the whole time. Like,
what does that mean?
Yeah, mind your thoughts. Treat yourself like you're a friend. Don't let any thoughts slip by that are beating you up, either for feeling like you should be snapping out of it or taking care of ABC, or you should have called them sooner, or none of that. So I think that's the number one, is just really being compassionate towards yourself and giving yourself that the permission to grieve.
Yeah. And what, most people, I do hear a lot of people say that. What does that normally, and I think it looks different for everyone else, but can you give a few examples or two? I say that with my clients, to give yourself permission. What does that mean? Cry whenever you feel like, yell whenever you feel like, giving yourself permission to grieve?
Yeah, well, as long as you're not yelling at anybody. Or yelling, walking down the street. Yeah. We have this, at least in the West, we have this culture of we need to fix ourselves and we need to get it done. And
that's the Western world. It happened. Yeah. Somebody died. 2-3 days later, we need to fix it, make it pretty. It never happened.
No,
it doesn't work like that.
It's really not like that. And I would say just stop thinking about other people's grief timelines. Stop thinking about expectations you think people have for you, or that they actually do have for you. And just, there's nothing more important than to be able to just feel the total experience of anything that's happening. Because if you're not feeling that pain, you're going to bury it and it's going to reckon with you later on. So I would just say, give yourself a break. If you can't go back to work when they say you're going back to work and you're going to, I don't know, you lose pay for a week. I don't know if you can figure that out. Can you do that? Because you just, take care of yourself as if, how you would take care of a child. You know what I mean? Like you just, grace and space.
Grace and, I love that. Give yourself grace and space. That's really powerful. If you could speak to your grieving self in that moment, what would you say now?
Wow.
Breathe.
Yeah.
You and I are going to breathe together. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath together. I felt that energy. Let's yeah.
Good observation.
Yeah. Let's take one more deep breath. It's okay. There's no rush here. Let's take one more deep breath together. Okay. Let's go ahead and inhale. Go ahead and slowly exhale. Give yourself the time.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would tell myself to continue feeling those feelings, but to turn the volume down. I really leaned into the pain. And now I know what that can create. And I would tell myself to, this might sound counterintuitive, but I would have told myself to spend more time with myself.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why is that so? To get to know yourself better through the process?
I used spending time with my friends and going out to distract myself. And it just prolonged the pain, Yeah, that's what it did. It prolonged the pain. And then I had those friendships. That's when I really invested in that friendship, the toxic friendship. I spent a lot of time with that person, but we met at a funny time because she was also grieving something. So we bonded in that strange way. But so I was not in a position.
Remember I said earlier, we attract who we are.
Yes, exactly. I mean, clearly. And so I was not in a position to really discern what makes a good friend. It was everything, all of my emotional resources, they're really tied into navigating this grief. So that was not a time to make those kinds of decisions.
Wow. That's powerful. You talked a little about loving yourself. How did this journey propel you to do that? What happened in your life? Did you have any resistance? What was going on that you said, you know what? I need to get to know myself. I need to get to love myself because I don't love myself. And in order for me to move through this, move with it, because I don't think you can move through grief. I don't think you can get over grief, but I do believe you can, you don't have a choice but to live with it and to move with it. So what did it for you? At what point did you say, I don't love myself? I need to learn to love myself.
Yeah. When I realized that whole thing, that romantic relationship and that best friend, when I saw those patterns and I realized how big and clear they were, it was really jarring to me. I felt relieved and I had a lot more energy to change and to create things in my life. But it was jarring to me that I didn't see something so obvious for so long.
Yeah.
And so I never thought that I didn't love myself, but I thought, how much do I love myself if I allowed that to be my daily reality? And so I realized it really shone a big light there because I'd read so much about self-love and, I would think about like, oh, I'm doing a self-love practice, but nothing was, I guess you could say nothing was getting to my unconscious. It was all, it was all on the surface, all that self-love stuff I was doing. So that was like, oh, it's time.
Yeah. Now, what did you have to do? What practices did you have to do to start on that journey?
Oh,
When you said, "Oh, it's time."
yeah. Shortly after that time, I started doing a much more advanced form of meditation. And that helped a lot because the meditations I do, you often have to focus on different emotions. And so just focusing on, feeling joy and feeling gratitude or feeling that I'm worthy, practicing those feelings in my meditations, then I would feel them more in my outside of a meditation, like in my waking state. But I also, I read some books that were really helpful in that space. There's one, I forgot his name, but it's a short book and really powerful about an executive who basically his whole life crumbled at once. His business, he went bankrupt, got divorced, had health problems, and then he realized all the success he had, it was all hanging by a thread the whole time because he didn't have this base of self-love. And so he had these like very simple exercises that were really profound and changed his life pretty quickly. So I used one of them, which was just like actually looking in the mirror and connecting with myself and telling myself I love myself, giving myself words of encouragement. And it sounds so silly and awkward, but I still do it now, even though I know how much I love myself, but I encourage myself. I get out of bed and it's like, let's go, girl. I'm so proud of you. And it's funny because it felt awkward at first. And now it's like natural. It's like I'm talking to, a good friend, a family member. So
good for you. And I'm glad you say that. It's always the simplest things. I say in this coaching world that we're in, and people can use all these big words and everything. And when people come to you to get coaching, they want all these big things, but yet it starts with the simplest thing.
Yeah.
Looking at yourself in the mirror. And as you said, Shanoa, I love you. I still do that. I still talk to the little girl inside of me when I have moments when I'm not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
When I have moments when I don't feel safe. Yeah, when my nervous system is not feeling safe, I speak to the little girl inside of me. I give her a hug. This stuff is real. And like you said, people say, "Oh, it sounds silly." People used to tell me, "You and your woo-woo stuff." Okay.
Yeah. Well, now they're finding out it's not woo. There's so much research.
I say that on a podcast a few months ago. People would laugh at me for the life of me. "You and your woo-woo stuff." When I first started doing this, honest to God, right? You and your woo-woo stuff. Now people are realizing this is not woo-woo stuff. This is real.
This is the stuff.
Thank you, sis. This is the stuff. It's not the woo-woo stuff. It's the stuff. We've been sold this story that everything that we're chasing and running and trying to acquire is the stuff. I always say it's so funny how we chase money, but when we die, money doesn't even chase us. Money is, whoop, it goes to the next person. But I do like, it is the stuff, and the stuff is real, so if you're listening, don't wait for the big word, don't wait for the big, everything you need is inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you still do the mirror exercises. I do too, till today.
And when you're saying your inner child doesn't feel safe, or, I will literally tap myself on the leg, like pat myself on the leg and say, "It's okay." And that's for her. That's not for me. It's okay. It's like,
exactly.
And I can feel my body just, release that, tension, and like, that's it. Then I can continue from there.
It happened to me just 2 weeks ago. I had to get in the shower because I was feeling anxious, and I'm like, what is going on? And God has me on this path of not only identifying what's going on with me, what is the why behind it? Because this is the year we're moving from it. We're not doing this again, Isabel. So it's one thing to be aware of what you're going through, but now I'm in a stage where God is like, we're excavating. I need you to understand the why. And I'm only saying this because, as you said, this stuff is real. So it happened to me about 2 weeks ago. I was feeling very anxious, and I said, "God, what is this about? Why? I feel it in my body. And it just revealed to me, I'm like, oh, this is my nervous system reacting. And then when I started looking at the why, when I started looking at my trauma, I was like, oh, I'm not feeling safe. I went to take a shower. I hugged myself and the hot water was just running. No joke. I've told this story like 3 times already. And I kept telling myself, you're okay. It's okay, girl. We got this. But I'm like, you see, I told you to breathe about a minute ago.
Yes.
I'm going to tell myself to breathe. Here's what was happening. As I was in the shower, all my traumatic experiences started flashing. Boom, boom. Yes. And I kept hugging myself and say, it's okay, girl, you're safe. And the freedom and the release that I felt after that, listen, people do not realize, and this is the healing space, so we cry here and it's okay. We don't realize how much our bodies carry. How our nervous system is really the one that's regulating everything that we're experiencing. I'm actually getting certified right now for somatic development informed trauma, and it has me in a chokehold. Just understanding how deep this is. Yeah. So I get it. Yeah. I get it, sis. I get it. Yeah.
I figured that out. I mean, I learned about some things about somatic, the body holding onto emotions.
Oh my God.
Like a reaction to, I love yin yoga and I was doing it for years. It was fine. And then there was a point where I couldn't do it if I was going to see anyone I know later on that day, because after I do yin yoga session, either I'd be crying or I'd feel angry. And there would be like no reason for it. So it's like, if I'm working at home by myself, it's fine. And then I was like looking it up, does anyone else feel this way? And then I found out about that. And it's funny. So at first I avoided it and then I went back to it. And now it doesn't happen when I do it. So I realized it was just a lot of trapped emotions, especially in my hip area. I know we hold a lot there. So those poses, that's it. I would just be like...
No,
a cloud of emotions. Yeah.
It is part of our emotions. And women, for whatever reason, we do hold a lot of it in our hip area. But it is. And if you're listening to us right now, your body's speaking to you. So the pains that you're feeling, something is tied to emotion. Something is happening. You have to pay attention to that. That stuff is real. As Shanoa just said, I just explained to you what happened to me with anxiety. And the only way for us to grow, to heal, we have to, I don't like to use the word face it, because then it becomes a challenge. I don't want it to be a challenge. I want it to be a part of your journey. I want us to understand that this healing it's like how we're breathing every day. Right? It's part of our journey. Don't look at it as a challenge. Don't look at it as something you need to defeat. This is something, Dr. Garber says it so well. Trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is what happened, is how you act as a result, is how you show up as a result of what happened to you. Your behavior, right? That's what we need to work on. But that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. You allowed me and gave me. I said I was going to do a podcast about it and share it, but that's why I love it. That's why I love these honest conversations. Yeah. So you help people. I'll close with this. You help people lean into who they truly are. When did you first realize that your worth wasn't defined by your output or your achievement? That's a big thing with my clients. That's a big thing with the high achieving women that I deal with. So I really would love to, we've discussed about grief. Thank you so much for sharing that openly. Let's talk about, because you talk about this in your book. So, and this is what you help your clients with. So I'd love for them to hear a little bit of what you do and how you help them before we get off.
Yeah, I mean, I had to laugh when you said that because, I was that high achiever where everything was about what results can I bring to the table.
The end result.
Yes, I could get in trouble for a million things, but my grades were always like the pat on the head. So I had that. It was so strong because I had perfect grades and I'd, do homework just for fun, extra homework as a child. And I remember the first time I forgot my syllabus, I didn't have the assignment on me. And I was in elementary school and I started crying and nobody could make me stop crying. And I was thinking I was not going to get into a good college. I mean, elementary school. So I went from that extreme to like...
Yeah, you were definitely a high achiever.
Extreme. But really, first of all, to me, worth has nothing to do with these external things that we achieve. It's inherent worth. You don't have to do anything to earn your worth. It's there. Now, you either are recognizing that worth or not. Everything else, it's like, okay, that's something that can be tied to your purpose. It can be a contribution to the world. Great. These are all, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do exceptional things.
We're supposed to do exceptional things.
Yes.
Even want us to do exceptional things.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. It's unfair when you hide from the world and don't contribute. But when we measure ourselves by those things, it's a slippery slope because we're not always going to have this, meet this perfect level. You're not going to make everyone happy all the time. And some people, you're just not their cup of tea. And so there's just never room to feel fulfilled. And so in my program, shortly after I published my book, I realized everyone keeps talking about personal branding, but they're usually focused on the external part. And that part certainly has its place. But my program is basically personal transformation meets personal branding. So if you're showing up like this woman you've seen who is like huge on social media and she's successful, but you're just emulating her approach, you're missing the mark. You might get some short-term wins, but people aren't going to connect with you because they don't know you. And whether they know consciously or not, why they're not really like, having that rapport with you, it's there, right?
It's there.
Or if you're afraid to show who you are because you think I'm going to lose followers, or I don't want to niche in this way because this is what I want to do, but people expect this from me. All those little traps we create for ourselves, and the tiny little baggage that little stories that we create. It's about letting that go, to really align our purpose and who we really are, so that it's clear, people understand that, and we can attract more opportunities.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you
for sharing your heart with us today.
Thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation.
This was a wonderful conversation. I'd like to continue the conversation, for you to come back. And honestly, I'd love for you and I, in fact, we're going to schedule it today to do a live, if that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go for it. We'll schedule that today. But honestly, thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you so much. And for those of you that are listening, I hope she blessed you as much as she blessed me. Today, I hope this podcast, this episode today, the first one of 2026, will open something within you, will give you the opportunity to see that you are not alone. If you're grieving, you're not alone. If you're not okay, it's okay to not be okay, and to understand that this is a journey. Have compassion for yourself. And what did you say, Shanoa? Grace and
space.
She said, have grace and space. Grace and space. Please be gentle for yourself and know that you're enough. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. But understand this, it gets better and it gets better. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and watching us on YouTube. Please share, subscribe. I will put Shanoa's information once the podcast comes out. Please make sure you grab a copy of her book. And I always say, I'm a coach, okay? But not everybody is I'm not for everyone. So what that means is when I bring people on the podcast, that's for you to decide. If this person is for you, please reach out. Please reach out. You know what I find quite fascinating is, especially in 2026, I'm going to keep telling this to people. Most coaches give free consultations. Most coaches do. They will give you a free consultation. Don't sit back in pain being stuck. I'm not saying when you call them today, it'll change tomorrow. Give yourself permission to discover yourself and to choose you in 2026 by picking up the phone and calling even for 30 minutes just to see if somebody can help you. But in the meantime, from our hearts to yours, wish you the best of 2026. I hope you have an amazing year. I hope you listen and trust that still voice, that whisper inside of you. I say that's where God speaks the loudest to me. I hope you trust it because that is your truth. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Shanoa, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It has been an honor.
Thank you, Isabel. Speak to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a conversation. I would also be honored if you would consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts. As always, you can connect with me through the links in the description. Thanks again for listening. We're so glad you could join us today and look forward to supporting you on your greatest journey. Have a great day.